to nobody, to nothing. Welcome to CRT Cold Hard Trash, episode 28. I'm your host, Trash Can Jones.
And I'm Brig,
And I
your fellow host.
Still got 6 holes in my wall a whole week later.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I'll get the spackle. I'll get the fixins. I might repaint that section too. I don't know if it's worth it though. Getting might be a weird white match.
Well, the thing is, you're gonna have to re-spackle it anyways when you remove. I mean, I'm assuming you're probably gonna move out of here eventually.
Yeah, in
right?
like 10 years.
And then at that point, you'll need to, or if you just want to take that TV down.
Yeah, I would probably take it down. I'd probably leave the thing on the wall. Do I have to take that down if I'm moving out of a place? Take it off the walls?
No, you're not renting this. You own it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do anything
Nice.
to sell it.
Hell
It's
yeah.
just, well, then that becomes a thing where it's like, it might devalue the place because you're now
yeah.
pushing work onto the next person.
Well, it's not like work. You got the thing to put your TV there now. You know what I'm saying? It's I'm doing the work for you.
If you could, you might be able to swing that. If someone wants to put a TV there, it's like,
I just won't take the TV off the wall too. That'll be part of it. Like that's where the TV is. You get the TV with it. Don't
you
ask.
sell a place and then specifically you just trash it beforehand.
I mean, isn't that the thing? What you call it? That's the thing tenants do. And like they're about to move out, they trash it. They're just like, fuck it, not my thing.
If they aren't gonna get, if they don't think they're gonna get the security deposit back, they might. But if they do want to get their security deposit back,
I'm pretty sure it's still illegal to like actually purposefully trash something, right? And right before you leave it.
probably.
Yeah.
But
And
it
the point,
depends.
it's like how much can you prove is on purpose as opposed to, and if they broke the lease agreements and whatnot throughout the damage.
I was gonna
That's
say
the
it's
big
probably
thing.
in the lease. You know what that would entail, and if it's not in the lease, then there's probably some type of law around it. Specifically if it's not in the lease.
Right.
Imagining there's probably some type of trap where if you end up putting if you do put something into the lease that somehow makes them not responsible for it. But hopefully if you are renting to people, you would get someone smart enough to make sure that your contract says you can't do that.
Right. Can't fuck this place up.
But yeah. Kendrick released a new album
I haven't
2
heard.
weeks ago from when you guys hear this.
Is he Drake dissing some more?
No, but so 2 things about the album drop that I feel are important. One, he dropped a snippet of the album, or he dropped a snippet of music, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Kendrick's gonna drop again. I wonder when he's gonna do this." And there's accounts there did Kendrick drop an album today? And they posted no and everything like
Right,
that.
every single day.
2 minutes after they posted the snippet, they released the album, didn't include the snippet.
Got him.
Prank.
Get pranked, son.
It was very cool how they're able to Kendrick, through the beef, ended up getting some type of reputation for surprise dropping like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a reputation he had for that before, because I wasn't paying as much attention to him as much as being damn's a good album.
Right.
Now that I found it, whenever.
Right.
It came
Yeah.
out
That's when I
before.
first heard of him too.
Well, I was into his older stuff than that too.
I guess swimming pools I liked it. Yeah. I just had heard of him in one hit. I was thinking of him as sort of a one-hit wonder kind of guy. But now, as I've heard more.
I wasn't a big fan of Poetic Justice, but I could appreciate it more nowadays. It's a very weird song.
I don't remember hearing that one.
You should look it up. It's very weird. But yeah, so the whole surprise drop thing, it really took everyone by surprise. Whoa, there's a Kendrick album.
It worked.
I think it's very good. Only a couple tracks got features. His has got 2. And then there's 2 or 3 more tracks that have a decent list of people in there. He's been working more with DJ Mustard. I think they work well together. DJ Mustard's the one that put together Not Like Us.
Oh,
the
okay.
beat for
Hell
that.
yeah.
At least 2 more tracks with DJ Mustard
Nice.
on that album. And remember when Drake released the song "The Heart Part 6" as a way to
Yeah,
sort of get in the way?
Right. One up Kendrick.
Yeah, Kendrick just released Heart Part 6 on this album.
Did
He
it
just
anyway.
sort of ignored him,
Oh,
which
well.
is Like,
what are you gonna do? You release my heart part? No, I'm just gonna do it anyway.
yeah, who cares? Like, your song sucked anyways.
Right.
Actually, this is going to be one of those situations where I Google something not to gain more information, like to go to a web page and find out more, but to just find out what comes up when you hit Google when you Google this. So if I do
hard part 6, which one? Kendrick or Drake's?
Yeah. The Drake one comes up. So it says the Heart Part 6, song by Drake. Then there's overview, and then there's a link to the Kendrick Lamar song.
That's even better. It says like, yeah, this is the one.
The Heart Part 6, which that's the Drake title. I put in Heart Part 6. They put the Heart Part 6. That's the Drake title. Then the video for the Kendrick Lamar thing. Then the lyrics for the Drake one. Then album is the Heart Part 6. Artist is Drake. And then the first, like, that's like the overview, right?
Right.
That Google gives you. The first link is to the Genius lyrics for Kendrick's Heart Part 6. The first Wikipedia link after that is Heart Part 6 by Kendrick Lamar.
All right.
Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. So the overview thing that, just sort of takes an aggregate over whatever period of time.
Right.
Not as good as actual search, I continue to say. Continues to reference Drake, but like the actual like web pages that like people are going to and see like when you do this stuff is
right.
Kendrick. So Drake did get a little bit up on him, I guess.
A little bit. He got kind of
Smidge.
mentioned, yeah, within the first overview results, but Kendrick is still the definitive.
Yeah, he took an inch. He did take an inch.
He's not going anywhere with it. I don't think anybody's hyped for the next Drake release.
Yeah, no. I don't think so. I don't know when he's supposed to be putting out music. I think a lot of people didn't like Certified Lover Boy, which was his album that came out near the time that Kanye put out Donda. Which Donda was also not terribly well received, but it included the Glove Go Gab Galab, which is just some weird video of some like pudgy slug creature talking about how much he loves books.
What?
Yeah, you can find it. Kanye sampled it, put it in that fucking album.
Okay. Yeah,
There's a lot of interesting samples in music.
He wanted to. He's like, this is the next viral meme. I'm gonna put it in.
No, it was like post the thing being popular. It's just sort of everyone being like, this is weird, and like 2 months later, it's in the thing. But yeah, that's all I got about Kendrick. Congratulations on the album. It's a good album. I've listened to it like 7 times over, probably by now. It's a good length for a drive. You got to drive like 45 minutes or something like that. It's about there.
Right. So I do have another update for something that we have talked about in the past. Nick Castellanos. So he has hit
the baseball guy, right?
Yeah, the baseball guy. Every time he hits a home run, something horrible happens. So he hit like a bunch of dingers. They were just kind of, I believe his team won the World Series. I'm not definitely sure if he was in it or if his team had won it. Not important. He had hit a bunch of dingers and nothing had immediately happened. And people were just kind of like, oh, I guess it was just kind of a fun meme and everything. And then the election happened. And everybody, I assume, realized the Castellanos effect coming into full swing. It was powering up. Too. Yeah, right, good pun. It was powering up for something that was inconceivable to just inconceivably horrible.
Yeah, I'm definitely not happy with the election results. But.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's I don't think I'm happy with them, but it's gonna be a fun time. I think it's gonna employ for some fun memes at the very least.
On occasion, yeah. It's so insane that I don't know if we talked about this before, but RFK Jr. is the head of like health.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got Bernie Sanders on his team though too, isn't he? Like one of the finance guys or something?
No, I'm pretty sure that's not true.
I thought he was.
There was a meme going for a while of like the craziest possible things that Trump could be putting on his cabinet because it was hard to tell.
Right, because he was doing like Dr. Oz and things. So yeah, maybe I just got like, what if he did this kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of fake ones going around just because it's just like insane. But yeah, I'm gonna actually look up what RFK Jr.'s in charge of.
In charge of making sure everybody gets the worm brain. Once you fight past it, once you defeat the worm, then
Health
you can get into the
secretary.
stage. L secretary. What-
Health.
Oh, they just said L
The
secretary.
secretary in
He
Spanish.
is the secretary. He's El Jefe.
Well, I mean, we don't have like a national language, so like you could just do that.
Yeah, true. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, at the very least, I don't really know a whole lot about him personally, but I know he's like 80 something. He's old as fuck. Like, what does he know about being alive?
He got his brain eaten by a worm. Supposedly he like brought measles to a community that wasn't vaccinated and got like a bunch of people sick. Some who died.
This man's living off like prunes and protein powder and Ensures and whatever
Raw
else
milk.
to keep him going.
It's raw milk, baby.
Good God.
So yeah. Let's see what else. There's the time that he left a bear in Central Park.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. That was like a 10-year unsolved case, and then he just kind of like, oh yeah, one time I hit a bear and I left it in Central Park thinking, that'd be a fun goof. And people were like, what? It's like, that was you? That's ridiculous. That's an absolute wilding story that's just like, yeah, no, that's, not only did that like, yeah, that happened, but also it happened and that person is like, still like an important person. Like, it's just kind of like, yeah, move on from that kind of deal. Like, what the hell?
He had to get ahead of that. He had to announce it first before someone else ratted on him.
Figured it out. Yeah. That's so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, how legal is it at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was kind of getting at when you first brought it up to me of like, if you hit a bear and you decide, oh man, I'm going to try and like maybe take this to a ranger station or whatever, like you're feeling bad for it in the moment. Then you just realize, come to terms with like a mile down the road, like, what am I doing? Kick it out back. Like, did you really do anything? Like, you hit a bear on the side of the road, you could just be like, oh shit, and keep driving and nothing. It's not illegal. If you moved it that 1 mile before doing the, oh shit, is it really, did you do anything?
Staging it as a bike accident?
Right, if you move it like the 6 miles and then stage it as a bike accident, I feel like you're going a little farther though. That's where it just kind of gets to the dubious of like, it might be illegal. You might have just done a crime. I'm not exactly sure what we would call it. We might have to invent a new crime.
I mean, I guess littering for the bike?
Yeah, littering and inappropriate use of an animal corpse. Is that a thing?
I think that is.
All right.
A thing.
It's
Now,
not like,
nothing's gonna happen. But,
it's probably like a fine. It's not like a jailable crime, but still.
but also supposedly he took a picture with his head inside the bear's mouth.
No, yeah, I remember that you're telling part of that.
I wasn't able to find any confirmation on that, but if the picture exists out there, maybe I'll come across it.
I don't know when he said he did it, but it's probably on some flip phone or whatever, somebody's drawer.
I mean, that sounds like the perfect person to put in charge of healthcare, Secretary of Health.
It's gonna be a wild time. Like I said, it's gonna be. It's already been for some good memes. I wonder what the hell could happen next, because there's literally no telling.
Yeah. This is all because we didn't campaign hard enough for ourselves.
Yeah, we should have taken.
We
office.
did announce it the day of the election.
Did we?
Yeah,
we were running
it
for
was
office.
the very beginning of the episode.
Oh, I do remember that vaguely.
Yeah, it was. We were announcing our run for the presidency. That would have been like what, 8 a.m. When does the podcast?
7 a.m. They dropped 7.
7. I thought it was like something specific, like 7:02.
7:02. Yeah.
Yeah. 7:02 a.m. We announced we run the race. 7:02 p.m. We definitely lost the race.
We didn't get enough write-ins. We only got the 2. Have you seen a lot of the narrative of the NFL being rigged? I know you're not a really big following sports guy.
Well, I mean, sports betting's becoming more and more legal.
It's becoming like huge too. Like the NFL is like sponsoring it now more, to where there's like big betting advertisements all throughout the game and all on the jumbotrons and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been people who like are now analyzing more than ever like all the different like nitpicky parts of the game, which I don't really think that it's rigged to the degree that they're saying, because they're like, oh, there's they put like magnet technology in the balls to like make it go more towards the goalposts when it's kicked and whatnot. I think that's going a little too far. They're like writing the scripts for how the game should go.
How strong are these magnets are you talking about?
That's what I'm like. It's crazy to think that they could just, and especially like switch it on, like, and go. It's like it's a cartoon, someone like holding the magnet. Like that's what they're assuming shit's going on. But I don't buy that level. But to the point where they're like, the officiating is what always frustrates me. It's been frustrating fans for like decades and decades. But it just makes me mad how like there's no oversight for something. Like again, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not like, you know, world-ending consequences. It's a game. Like it's football, even at the highest level. Like we're all just out here playing a game. They're all just out here. I shouldn't say we. I'm not a football player. They're all just out here playing a game. But like with the amount, especially now with betting, with like the like millions potentially that are on the line and things, like you need to have some sort of recourse, so there's going to be consequences beyond what the NFL can handle. There's like a referee just being like, well, I didn't see that too good, and yeah, whatever, we'll just call it like this. Like that guy should never be anywhere near the field again. You should have that guy fired and like strung up on a pole type shit. Like make sure everybody knows to not hire that guy.
I think
so many times
for this would be, and you can solve a lot of issues with this. This actually showed up in Fallout at one point, where, you know, you choose people to do like a very important job. At the end of that job, you kill them.
Yeah.
And it's considered to be a great honor to do this job. So this was similar to the vault in Fallout 3.
It was in Fallout New Vegas.
New Vegas.
Oh, I think you're right. It's in Fallout 3.
Yeah. Where like you go in and then like, you know, you had to piece together the stories you're going through, but basically, like, the vault would elect a leader, a president, and then at the end of that president's term, they would get killed.
Yeah, the experiment was they were told if they didn't sacrifice at least one person a year, then robots would just come and kill all of them. So they had to make that choice. And the whole point of it was that they were supposed to just say no one time, and then they were going to get told, good job, you did it, you're the bastion of humanity. But they just kept killing people for like decades. To the point where when they finally did it the one time after like a war, they're like, the first thing you find is the tape of like the 5 people left being like, it called us a bastion of humanity. What the fuck? And they all just, that's like the last tape of them killing themselves.
Yeah, my favorite part about that is actually going into the room with all the robots and like just getting absolutely killed.
The sacrifice room, it's like, please have a seat in the chair, and then it just sits down there and like plays like, congratulations, you've been chosen. Then robots just pour in and start hitting you with Gatling guns.
But we should institute that into our, you know, positions of power. So these referees, you know, for the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl alone, you know, they take all the referees and you go into a running and you make a case for yourself. I mean, if you don't want to die, I guess you make a case for why not
but
you.
if you don't want to die, then I guess you also don't want to ref the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well,
someone's not in it for life.
That's what I'm saying. Life's on the line here. But at that point, though, yeah, I feel like that makes it where they have nothing to lose. They're going to die after the game anyway, so whatever. They're just going to throw it any way they want.
Yeah, but they're not going to rig it for a particular person. I mean, I guess if you can promise his family money.
I was going to say, yeah, money talks, man. I feel like that might escalate the problem. You need, I think, more oversight, which the obvious solution to me is just millions amount of cameras and camera technology that they have. Just use the motherfucking cameras as the backup instead of like, yeah, that guy over there saw it pretty good, so yeah, we're gonna go with him. Because they have just this shitty attitude about it too, especially when players will try to like have any sort of recourse, like, hey, can you explain why the hell you just said the most insane shit in the world? They'll just be like, nope, I said it, and that's the thing, and if you say any more to me, then we're just done here. Like, they just act like a weird amount of like they're a teacher in a classroom, and like, you're all adults in this thing, like, you're trying to explain the rules to the game, and you're just gonna cross your arms like a tantrum and just be like, nope, I said it, I saw it, that's it. It's just like, that's behavior is unbecoming and unprofessional. I feel like we should just have a lot more oversight. And if it was just like, hey, the camera said you were wrong, which has happened so many times in sports things, where literally they'll put it on the Jumbotron of like, the ref got it wrong by like a damn mile. And they're like, well, not going to do anything because we can't do anything. There's no rules in the game of like, when the ref gets it wrong, then this happens. It's never written into any rule book. Super frustrating in all of sports. Because it'll literally be like, especially in baseball, where like a ref called the guy, or an umpire, they call him there, would call a guy out, and then they'd go to the Jumbotron freeze frame, and he's like safe by a step and a half, to where the guy wasn't even touching the bag, and they're just like, well, replays aren't a thing in baseball. Keep it running.
Nah.
And it's just like, well, they are now, thankfully. And I don't even know. It's like only on very certain things because they're super reluctant to even bring it in. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you? You literally have like 3 old guys just sitting out there doing their best. To, safe, I think so. I saw it. I got the slow-mo 20 FPS right up here. Or I guess
you need to get a real rep with like the face guard to like stick their literal face down there and watch as someone's like barreling to the
the umpire at home plate can do that, but the ones out in the field can't. There's, even though you look at like not worldwide, but statistics overall, like umpires are only getting better, which is just kind of the natural way of things. Like the way they have the feeder system of how you become a good umpire and how you make it to the MLB, you have to have like be better and better. So it's just kind of naturally only the best rise to the top. So over the years, calls and different things throughout sports have largely gotten better, but at the same time, when the gaffes do happen, that only makes them accentuate more. Because now it's like you have so much time of peace before the one bad thing that happens, and then peace after that. It's like you remember the one bad thing a lot more than if there was like 6 of them, you know? So it's a double-edged sword of trying to like perfect this craft, but also just being like, why are we still trying to hold on to perfecting this? We have the perfect thing. We have literally every angle of what can happen at slow-mo. I don't get it.
Well, you know what the perfect thing is when the thing that you want to happen happens, and then you get money for it. So maybe we do have the solution.
This podcast brought to you by DraftKings.
To go back to Twitter real quick, they have this thing called community notes, right? Which is like, there was this introduced pre-Musk and it's continued since then.
Right. Basically just the actually.
Yeah, and so I actually joined in like that during the pilot. I'm still a member, but like I haven't posted enough like corrections and stuff like that to I haven't voted on enough corrections to get the right to post them. But there's this trend that started like maybe a month ago where people will post images, you know, like memes or whatever, like reposting like very old memes, or like doing like a prompt to try and get a conversation going where it's like, what was the incident at your high school?
Right.
Whatever. And then they'll put a banner at the bottom that says this post is sponsored by Steak. And then
by Steak?
Yeah, Steak is a betting app.
Oh, I thought you just meant steak.
STAKE.
Oh, I thought you just meant steak like got milk, like it's just got steak.
We could probably there has been riffs on it, but yeah, it's just like steak ads at the bottom of like every single post, and so then there's, because those are going like getting posted like everywhere, there's like a community note under every single one that's like, this post contains an undisclosed steak ad. This is against the terms of service of Twitter. Now, I'm not entirely sure it's an undisclosed ad.
It says right there, but I mean, I guess in the actual post itself, like just the text, does it say sponsored by Steak?
There's rules about that. There's like more stringent rules for an individual posting an ad for something than like a company, I believe. Like if you were to do it on social media, it's a lot different than like a company producing a commercial, like having to declare that it's an ad.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how much against the terms of service it is or not, but it does suck. And there have been sort of riffs on that, like on Mario posts in particular. There's a WarioWare ad at the bottom in the same exact style, which is fun. But yeah, it's another example of how it's just absolutely off the rails and bad. These things have sort of become on Twitter and like social media sites and stuff like that, where it's just like every single post, like someone's apparently getting paid to just throw that little banner at the bottom. Yeah. And it's for gambling too. It's going insane.
Yep.
Like, I remember when Pritzker was elected for Illinois, he actually he said he was going to make weed legal and he was going to bring back sports betting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was caught up on the weed legal thing. I'm like, this guy's great.
People still think he's great.
I still do think that he's a good governor for Illinois, but I don't feel the same about making sports betting legal again because of just how insane that's gone.
Yeah.
And how it's going.
It's a lot of money, though. Probably brings in a lot of money for the state, if you can imagine. So, we could do a lot with that money, make a lot of it disappear.
There's also like there was this website, I forget exactly what it was, but people were betting on the outcome of the election.
Oh yeah, I think probably on DraftKings they do wild bets like that too.
I don't think it was DraftKings. I think it was something else.
Yeah, they do like Super Bowl bets. You like bet on the coin toss and bet of like point spread of like what fans are going to be shown in the cameras and stuff. Bet of weird stuff.
I feel like, I don't know, I sort of see some type of connection between like groups of people like being really into gambling and also being Trump supporters. Especially because they would like a lot of I would only ever see posts of people betting on Trump winning on that website, right? Like take a screenshot, post it to Twitter. I think that may be one of the best like motivators for voting. You
Betting
put
your
money
own
on
money?
it.
Yeah, I
You
mean-
put money on it. Of course you're gonna go. Of course you're gonna vote for the person that you bet the money on, right?
I mean,
because
yeah.
you want the money.
Unless you're trying to, you think like someone else is going to win, so you bet on the other side, and then you don't vote.
You want to win your money. You want to win the bet.
Well, yeah,
so
but
you are going to vote. You're basically by betting this early, you've cast your vote. If you aren't gonna cast a vote for that person, why are you gambling? Like,
because they're going to win. Whereas if you might cast the vote for like, I don't know, a social implication, perhaps. Maybe you gotta say you voted red, but it's going to be a blue election, so you just gamble $100K on blue.
But then your voter record's private. Like, you can vote and go into the booth and nobody sees it, right? They don't post it publicly.
Yeah, I suppose. No one would
if
be
you're
able
gonna-
to know. And the people would be asking where you got that money from.
But at that point, like, it really is like your vote is already cast. There's like nothing you can really do to convince someone who has money on the line that a particular person is going to win to change their vote towards someone that if they win, they're literally out, like however much money they put down. Like, a lot of people putting like 1K on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just trying to figure out a way of like what would be the reason to bet on something, but then be like actually trying to trick, like play this 100 IQ move, voting the other way. But you're right. I don't think that would make any sense.
And I could be wrong that like the gambling on the election is done bipartisanly, but like I haven't seen posts. I haven't seen people posting about voting for Kamala or posting on betting that Kamala's going to win.
Maybe those people thought they were voting. Maybe they just thought that's how much a vote cost.
Yeah, $1,000.
$1,000 to vote for Trump. Surely he'll win with that money.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. I didn't bring any more topics. I had a lot of different things I wanted to write down, but I had a big scatterbrain today, or this week rather.
Well, since we're on like sports and betting and stuff like that, you know how teams like started to get their names and stuff, right? Like it was originally corporations,
Like
that
the
would
Green
host
Bay
these
Packers.
games. Yeah,
the meat
because they were
Packers.
packing things, and the Chicago Bears because they just had a bunch of bears.
Because they were Bears. Their first team was actually just Grizzly Bears.
Yeah, this is
People had to
before they
fight
had
against.
rules. Didn't explicitly ban that. So.
Yeah, that was the Air Bud season where they just said there's no rule against it. I can fill my team with bears instead of people.
Yeah.
Then they faced the Patriots, who were just guys with guns, and then that's when the Bears kind of met their match. They brought guns
And now they're
out.
crying, saying this is unfair.
Yeah,
You can't bring a gun to a football game.
There's no rules against it. And then that's rule number 1 is no bears, and rule number 2 is no guns in the NFL handbook. They really had to start getting a hold on those things.
Yeah. The 49ers.
Yeah, there's just the people gold rushing, right? Oregon Trail and whatnot.
I can't think of it.
San Francisco.
But yeah, but like
They're the 49. The people in, is it 1849?
1849.
Yeah, not 1949.
It's only comprised of people that moved there in 1849.
Yeah.
They did not have a great run.
But they're hardy. They made it that way. That means they're tough. They got skin like leather.
I played the Oregon Trail. I fucking died. That's fake too.
Yeah, I died a shitload of the Oregon Trail too. It was one of the ones they had a computer that I knew was way outdated when I went to like elementary school, because it was like a Commodore 2 or something. It was like yellowed and had that really loud click-clack keyboard. It was cool.
People pay good money for that shit nowadays.
Yeah.
More clacks.
That was
Which is
before.
fair, because the whole membrane thing, like, is not that responsive.
Yeah, no. Like the big clack. I wish I want to get... Oh, there's the other one. I wish I wanted... I wish I could get a PC like those old Commodore 2s and just hollow it out and fill it with an actual, like, good PC. Same with, like, the keyboard and mouse. Like, I want to get an old Apple II mouse that's just, like, the big 2 buttons that are sitting on top, but I actually have, like, a gaming mouse with a laser on the inside of it. So I could just... It looks like I'm using an old shitty computer.
Yeah, there's people out there that'll do recasing and stuff like that. They make a business out of it. Probably, a good part of it could be, like, a social media presence, supplementing that a little bit, where it's like, look at this awesome build. Like, we shoved this thing into a different case, and, like, these are all the features that we made sure to keep.
So we need to get I forget what the brand is. It's like a Gigex or something like that. A boom ball. It might even be that's not Sony. It's some weird, like, other brand of boombox, but it's called the boom ball. And we need to hollow that out and make it a PC. Because it will be the real life GameSphere. That is what the GameSphere was.
I was going to say GameSphere.
That's what the GameSphere was in Drake and Josh. It was a boom ball that they just kind of like didn't turn the speakers towards the camera, so you didn't see them. Yeah, it's spherical. We can get a spherical. It probably still have to have the disk drive up top. That's just the CD you put in and close, but why not? Fun disk drive.
My initial idea for, like, having a custom case for a computer was I really like the idea of, like, a suitcase. So it's portable.
Yeah.
You put all the stuff and you put all the wires and stuff and, like, all these chips and everything in there.
Right.
But a big issue with that and portability is that there's no way in hell I'm getting through TSA with that.
Yeah, no. That's
a suitcase with wires and microchips and all that shit going around. They'll put that under the X-ray for 1 second, and I'm going to be in handcuffs in a back room, interrogated.
Yeah. What the hell are you trying to bring through here? You should, unless you might get off the hook if you write "not bomb" on it. Then I think, you'll be okay.
That's a good idea.
Although that is a thing, though. I'm pretty sure like the old original laptops were like suitcase ones. Like that was in the I want to say like the 70s or 80s. I think that was one of their original designs. Here, let me see if I can find a picture of one.
I remember like maybe in the early 2000s they were still making sort of heavier duty things like that with like hard cases and like thick hard cases because they were trying to market to like project managers and stuff like on site at construction sites.
Construction workers.
There was like 3 different lines that they were doing where it was like a super sleek one, like a medium, like more powerful build one, and then like a hard.
Yeah, this is the thing I was thinking about. It's like got a whole big I just flipped past it. It's like got a whole big like tote strap and everything to it, except probably weighs like 20-30 pounds.
You could probably get away with that if like people expect a computer to look like that. They don't anymore.
Right, I was gonna say they'll get laughed out of the work site with that.
There's also the classic cases of I remember one of our friends was showing me like this streamer who his chat would constantly yell at him because his computer was the parts in a pile on the floor. He just didn't own a case, but he had everything else.
Why if you don't need it, you don't need it. Just keep it cool. Keep a fan on it.
I mean, it also could be cool if like you, I don't know, installed it onto a wall.
Yeah, I've seen that before. Wall-mounted PCs.
I feel like you might actually run into like some, I don't know, like cable lengths and stuff like that. If that would really affect things, I mean, electricity moves pretty fucking fast.
I was gonna say it's not crazy. You just
There's
get
a reason that we have microchips because at the shortest possible distance and also to save space.
Right, but I mean, the really only cable you would need is like what a 10-15 foot one for the power supply and a 10-15 foot HDMI/DisplayPort.
No, I mean the cables in between the different parts of the computer.
Oh, I mean you could still make it computer size, just put it on the wall.
Yeah, but the idea of everything being
like
flat,
bigger.
like that.
Oh, yeah, no, you're talking about, like, actually putting everything flat. Well, for the GPU, I know they sell ribbons that is, like, not even, like, a 6-inch cable to where you can, like, put it at any angle so you can keep that flat. And really the only other thing would be, like, RAM sticks, which they only stick out that much anyway. It's pretty flat to begin with, besides the GPU brick.
Yeah.
That's a quick cable.
Yeah, probably wouldn't affect the latency or anything like that.
Nah, I used it for years. I had, because I had one that I bought a case that was really sleek looking, but it didn't have because my mini ATX board didn't have the proper GPU seating for the 2 up top. It needed to be seated at the top one, but it needed 2. So it needed to be seated 1 lower, but it just couldn't work with the board. So what I did was I just got a ribbon and then turned it 90 degrees, got an arm, and stood it up one of the vertical ones.
Nice.
It looked a little cooler too, because you were actually able to see the whole front of the GPU, but it was out of necessity. It wasn't like a cool design choice. It's like I literally couldn't secure my GPU without it.
Well, like I always say, a lot of cool things come out of necessity, and limitations. So,
dude, speaking of limitations, the limitations that I see on people daily baffle my mind. So, I know truck stop bathrooms, just like as a general term, have the connotation of being dingy, but where I work is technically like a truck place. It's a semi-trucks at a warehouse. It's a warehouse. We call it a terminal. It's basically the same thing. Yeah, trucks come in, they get their freight, they leave. Our bathrooms are cleaned probably like 6 times a day, twice a shift. Kept very clean. Everything in there looks like it's the first day that this place opened up, except for the fact that you wouldn't think any of these guys have ever flushed a toilet in their life. Because the most rancorous trucker pisses just sitting in those urinals every time I walk through. And there's signs above them that just say, please flush, as if those are necessary to tell to a fucking adult. I'm just baffled. Like, this is where you hit your limit. Like, you got to the bathroom, you fucking did everything to pee, and probably, I hope, washed your hands. Probably not, motherfucker, at this point. And then just walked out. You couldn't do one more. That's where your limit was. What the fuck is wrong with? How did you get through life? Why don't you just pee your pants?
The thing
Why
is,
the fuck even bother coming to the bathroom?
The thing is, when like the handle to like flush a urinal, like people like touch their dicks and then touch that, and then you touch that. You're touching dicks.
You wash your hands right after.
You got like a minute and a half, depending on if there's a line for the sink.
Probably
being
not.
Gay. And it was the choice.
Got a minute and a half of being gay.
Yeah. Unfortunately. And that's probably why they don't do it.
Yeah.
You could also, like, not saying this is easy, but like you install an auto flushing thing, because I've definitely seen it at some places where it's like an entire line of urinals and they just flush at a regular interval.
Yeah, and that probably would be better for them, just like to make sure water doesn't get stagnant. But they clean it 6 times a day anyway, and I feel like they would probably just get flushed unnecessarily by people walking past a lot more. So I don't know.
Oh, not like a motion sensor thing. A thing that does it 4 times an hour.
Oh, I guess that'd be smart. But then sometimes you'd just be pissing into a big old pile of piss.
Now, how many urinals are there?
A good amount. But yeah, when it gets
I'm
busy,
imagining like 10. I'm imagining like a ballpark for some reason.
Nah, it's like 6. Like 6 urinals, 3 stalls, 4 stalls.
Another thing that, places like that, I've seen it before, and I've only really seen it in dirtier places. Instead of having like paper towels come out or like a hand dryer that blows air, it's a rag.
One rag, yeah.
That's on a wheel.
It's awful.
You can't trust that.
No, it's like brown too in weird places. It's just like, what the fuck
Like,
could have even...
One person doesn't wash their hands properly, whole thing's fucked. That'll go right into the roller, and then it'll be on the roller, and that will spread it evenly across the entire rag of just
I don't know who the fuck invented that, but yeah, that's like Roman era of just like leaving the sponge by the public toilet to wipe your ass. Like, what the fuck is that? How did anybody think that was even a good idea to begin with? I feel like those are old too. That's probably like some bygone like 60s, 70s shit. I feel like whenever I see those, they're usually like rusted to shit too.
Yeah, it's like one of the only things I can think of that are worse than like a bad blow dryer in the...
yeah, those suck too. The ones that are like, it's crazy too, because like blow dryers just were bad for the longest time, and then they figured out like I don't know, with like the vacuum whatever technology that like compresses the air and shoots it really finely at your hands. And that's the way air dryers just should be now forever. But still, you get those ones that are just like the old, and it's just a guy going, real hard on your hands, and that's all you get. And you're like, great, thanks. Just wipe these off and keep going.
Next time you see one of those, pay attention to like the sort of nozzle thing that where the air comes out of, like that metal thing, kind of, Squidward nosy.
I'm aware. The L pipe.
Those are designed, at least in a good portion of the ones that I've seen, those are actually designed so that you're able to turn the thing upwards to dry your face.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Some people like to wash their face.
Why are you washing your face in the public bath? I guess we like splash with water.
Soap.
I guess.
You can do it successfully.
Dude, somebody peed in that soap dispenser in that public bathroom. I guarantee that's the most liquidy, watery, off-smelling soap. Like it doesn't smell clean usually. It's just like, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm. But I think like those just sort of got worn out a little bit. Because you'll find ones that are like sort of loose and like coming out, and I think that some of the air that's supposed to be coming out onto your hands escapes out of that part.
Probably.
And makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So pay attention. You might find one of those, and you'll notice that the thing itself is loose. That's because it's meant to rotate.
I'll notate that as I'm shittily drying my hands.
Yeah.
Great, I know this.
You'll have plenty of time to pay attention to it, because you're not going to get your hands dry in any reasonable amount of time.
I can't do anything about it, but at least I know why I can't do anything about it.
Yeah. That's why.
Shitty things.
I mean, most of the time after I wash my hands in a public bathroom, I just fucking shake like crazy.
I do a good amount of whip into the sink, and that's it.
Yeah, and just sort of have wet hands for a little bit.
I like when the public bathroom just leave the rollout, so it's just like a big scrunchy, like the top half of what's called soaked up, because people just been grabbing it with their wet hands. Good times.
Those Dyson, like, I like the ones that is just like, this thing sounds like a jet engine.
Yeah,
just gonna
stick your
blast air
hands
out.
in, you just.
Those ones, I'm just talking about like the same exact type of design, but it just sounds like a jet engine. It's just
going the
warmer
downward
and
ones, yeah.
powerful. The like Airblade ones, like I sort of feel mixed about those.
Those are the first ones I remember seeing that had that.
I think they're interesting. I definitely like the idea of what they're going for, where like you stick your hands in and then you like pull them out and the air is angled to blow the water off.
Yeah. Like an air blade.
But yeah, I think it's cool, but like I don't know, it wasn't. Maybe it's just because of how cool it looked. I kind of had higher expectations for it.
Sure.
It's definitely one of the best ones, right?
Yeah.
But,
Most definitely.
yeah. And also with a lot of these things, like the blow dry, apparently the absolute cleanest way to do things is actually the paper towel.
Really?
Because you can't really guarantee that the like air that they're shooting at you doesn't have microbes in it. Now maybe Dyson has something to do with that. I mean, they make vacuums. Of course,
Maybe
they're
they
gonna
have
have something with filters,
yeah.
right? But that's Dyson. Dyson doesn't make all of them, and especially the shitty ones. I can't really trust them to not have
True that.
just be blowing a shit ton of microbes onto you.
Right.
So do a little shake, maybe like wipe off on my pants. It's just water.
The very clean pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, germs are a weird thing. It's like one of the very interesting sciences where it's like, oh yeah, some of them are like very good and essential to your body, and some of them will fucking kill you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whoa, but there's which one's which? Like, well, one of them looks pretty similar to the other actually.
Well, the ones you have right now are fine.
Yeah, they're
because
good.
you would be dead if they weren't.
Right, and you're only gonna realize you have the dead ones hopefully before you die. But it's usually a quick slide down.
Mm-hmm. That's part of, not the whole story of it, but part of why having promoting a good microbiome and stuff like that is good for you, because they sort of take up space and resources that would make it harder for like a bad bacteria to sort of take hold and stuff like that. So that's why.
Wash your hands in dirt a little bit more.
We got like 2 different organs that are meant to support our microbiome. It's crazy.
Really?
The appendix and the gallbladder. Yeah.
Oh, those 2 ones that everybody thought were like non-essential that have been cutting out of them?
Yeah. Well, no. They don't just cut them out for no reason. They cut them out because they get really badly infected.
Yeah, no. It's one of those ones though, like when you get it out, most people say like, yeah, you don't really need it. That's the general like what you call it, thinking behind it.
Yeah. Their main goals are to. My main goal is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody.
An appendix.
But their actual goals are to like, if you have like events in your life, like where you have to purge a lot of your microbiome, like just an awful like vomiting streak or like diarrhea streak or whatever, because eating food and getting sick prior to the era of all this like cleanliness and like food science where we know how much we got to cook stuff.
Right.
It's pretty common.
Yeah, makes sense.
There's a reason that we would have to have something that stores a portion of the microbiome and sort of reseeds it after something big like that. So that's what they do. That's why they get infected and need to get removed so often, because they're full of bacteria.
They're full
on purpose.
of nonsense. There is. I want to look this up too before I go too far into it. I think it was the thyroid they used to accidentally remove when they were doing surgeries on the throat. The thyroid's this gland right here, right?
Yeah, it's like around there,
Yeah.
I think.
I'm pretty sure it was a thing. I read a whole thing about it a long time ago. I just realized that it had been a while before I checked the knowledge. Yeah, so that was what it is. So literally, like, thyroid surgery was very, very common because whenever they would have problems in people's throats, they would find it and just be like, huh, that's weird looking. Get it out of here. Because it looks like a little spongy sack with white things on it, and it looks like maybe infection or pustules. So literally, the reasons there was such a high mortality rate after was due to the lack of understanding and
Good Lord.
What it even was.
Yeah, I know people who have like thyroid issues, and it like apparently affects their like ability to gain weight a lot or like lose weight. It depends on what the issue is with the thyroid, I guess.
I was gonna say, because it regulates a lot of the like hormones in your brain, right? So I think a lot of the people who get their thyroid removed have like the muscle spasms and shit like that. They basically go crazy to death because they suffer from hysteria.
Well, I mean, I know. I guess I don't really know if people. I personally know people that had the thyroids removed, but like people with thyroid issues, like they're fine, they're healthy, they're just, have certain like. Mainly, it's been like an issue to gain weight. Like it's particularly hard for them.
Yeah, no, I gotta find the video about that because I watched a whole thing about it. It was a long time ago, but they had those pictures of the people in like rigor mortis, or not rigor mortis, but when they were like tensing their muscles on their back and like lifting themselves up by their elbows kind of involuntarily.
Mm-hmm.
Like, apparently that was because of side effect of having that surgery.
Interesting. Well, good thing we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's a wild thing of just like lobotomies, the same way of just like, get that out of there. What do you need it for?
Well, lobotomies was like this.
To
like,
fix it, yeah, like it
this
makes
doesn't
you crazy.
kill you, but it gets rid of like a good portion of your brain and like
Yeah,
the
the
thought
frontal
process and having thoughts and like a personality.
Yeah, it's making
like that.
it's making some problems. Get it out of there. You don't need it. It's causing problems for you. Trust me, pal. Clunk, 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 clunk.
Yeah.
That shit's wild. I mean, we just did that, like, a huge scale. That's crazy to think there was, like, whole institutions that were around, like, lobotomizing people and keeping them around, like, now they're fine. We did them. Cured.
Mm-hmm. There's that classic case of a guy that got, like, a rail spike through his head.
Yeah, the Phineas Gage. That was an accident one. Where
that was an accident. Gave him a lobotomy, and then apparently he was just sort of, like, mean.
He was like wild, like impulsive, they said too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like start bar fights all of a sudden, like where he was like before just kind of a mild mannered, chill dude.
Yeah, and that's what that's evidently the part of the brain that
it was only like
regulates that.
I think the front half though, because he got it through one of his eyes, and it was only like the front quarter. So
well, yeah, no, that's what a lobotomy targets.
Yeah, but I think
they don't blend the whole thing up.
I thought it was the whole frontal lobe they mashed. It was only one part of it they take.
Oh well. I guess that is partial in that sense, a partial lobotomy, but
yeah,
still within the bounds of
right. Yeah, still within the bounds of getting your brain chunked out, and still being able to survive because humans are fucking crazy.
Yeah, we're not the only ones that survive that shit. Like test subject animals will like get lobotomies so they don't like, die or like they don't like fight back and shit like that.
Yeah,
scary.
There's that one. that one scientist that managed to transplant the monkey head onto a different monkey.
And he was so fucking upset. Which, granted,
Yeah.
fair. Like,
it died immediately, so not like it was a great success, but it was one of the things like, oh, okay, I guess we could do it. Duh.
yeah.
What are we gonna do with
It's
this
like
technology?
One of the least humane things
Yeah.
someone's done to an animal
Yeah, it was
on
awful.
an individual basis.
Yeah, I was gonna. They have. Would you count like chicken cullings and different things like that inhumane if you just have to mass murder? Because it basically is like a genocide.
That's why I
but,
specified on an individual basis.
But it's like they kind of needed that, especially the ones who were like sick and just gonna infect chickens. Basically like zombie chickens at that point. They need to die. I don't know. It's the. I think there was ones in recent that were just like done out of. Oh, we can't like support having this facility anymore, so we're just gonna abandon it, and that's how the chickens die, sort of deal. But I don't.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if those were all the single ones, or if I figured it was mostly because of virus and infection. They kind of have to cull the population and then keep the plant going afterwards.
And that's mass inhumanity to many animals.
Is it humanity though when it comes to animals?
Well, humane.
A humane treatment of them, yeah.
Yeah. So
Do animals have humanity though?
I think it's about the action that the human does makes it inhumane. You are not human for you are not very human-like for having done an action.
Right, yeah. It's a lack of empathy towards a living creature, which is what us humans have. Even towards non-living things. It's weird how like easily we can what's the word? Not anthropomorphize, but give lifelike features to.
Well, that to give a feature
To an inanimate
something,
object.
To give a feature to an inanimate object is anthropomorphizing.
Oh, what's a personality then? Like the whole life.
That's a different word. Yeah, it's like personifying.
That's what it is, personification.
But like that's also like a literary thing. Like
Is
you're
it?
the personification of envy. You're a very envious person so much that you're like the definition of it. You're personifying it.
So what would it be then? What would Toy Story be? Or like Brave Little Toaster, where like I think my toaster's a cool guy.
See, that's the word I don't know. That's the word you don't know.
Yeah,
We're thinking about that.
I thought it was personification. Was
Could
it not?
be.
I thought that's like giving qualities to an inanimate object. Let me just look at it. Personification. A figure of speech that gives human characteristics to something that is not human, such as an animal or object. So yeah, that would be personification.
Fair enough.
Smiling at my toaster to make toast.
Yeah. I mean, like humans make stuffed animals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like we do that.
That's literally like it's a whole like not even it's a niche thing. Like that's just a whole market of like people like those. Like it's every child likes. Pretty much every child likes some type of stuffed animal. It's like a known thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's also cases of like animals doing this type of stuff, like putting like certain birds, like if they're like laying eggs and they're like not supposed to be like a pet bird or something like that. You can take the eggs out and replace them with like some rocks or something. Yeah. So that they can still, have that experience with the eggs,
right?
Quote unquote. But it's just a rock. It's about like their relationship to this inanimate object.
Right, and eventually they'll have to come to terms with it's not an egg that is viable, which it wouldn't have been, but it probably would have been.
Yeah, it's not that it's not an egg.
Right.
It's not a viable egg is what they're dealing with.
Right, and it'd be a lot harder to deal with that when they were actual eggs and trying to remove them as opposed to rocks. Oh, I think I'm good to end it there, though, because I got to pee really bad and I got to eat really bad because we got some unbeatable eatables on the docket.
Let's extend this episode. I want your bladder to explode.
Well, you're going to get your wish. 3, 2, 1. I'm not going to pee myself. That's not for a bit. That'd be a very bad bit.
I was watching.
It would not be worth
waiting.
it.
It's your house, man.
That would not be worth it for a bit. Thank you for listening to this episode of CRT Cold Hard Trash number 28. If you liked it, tell some people about it. I don't care who you tell about it. If it's your friends, if it's your enemies, if it's just a guy you're driving past on the street, just scream it out at him. Rate it 5 stars. And, I don't know. Do whatever else.
Tell your garbage man about it.
No, don't do that.
He might have the wrong ideas of what it's about.
Thin brown line. Stand with the thin. Mention the thin brown line. Say that you stand with him, and say that we're a podcast that stands by the thin brown line. We'll get the garbage men sect. People aren't appealing to them too much. That'll be our niche.
Yes. If you got the perfect name for it.
Bing, bang, boom. Yeah, we do. Oh, we're so in the money.
How are you just... I
Tell
said
the
that,
garbage
you
men.
started by saying no.
Tell me, because I figured it out in the
Now
moment. All right, listen, I'm not the most intelligent person, but we are going after these garbage men. That is going to be our bread and butter. Tell them.
Tell your local garbage man. See you next week.